So I observed these are the 10 powerful ingredients which the founder or the promoters of family businesses should focus on if they want to create an institution. You would have recently seen that AR Rahman concert and the Trevor Noah program in Bangalore, where it was a complete chaos. But if you see Isha Foundation's programs, you will not see any of this. In fact, I used to wonder how Sadhguru first conceived this project that he can execute it. Look at Save the Soil, Kaveri Calling, Rally for Revered, Rural Reach programs. It's not mammoth program which you are reaching nook and corners of the country and at times in the world. So as we always end our show with a powerful Thirukkural, here in this Thirukkural, Thiruvallur talks about the importance of Guru. Hello, this is Suresh Ramanujam, family business custodian. In the last episode, I mentioned that the next episode is going to be very interesting episode, and we are going to learn some lessons and learnings from a spiritual guru. Yes, it is none other than Sadhguru. He is the most viewed guru in the world. He is the most admired spiritual guru. Today, I'm going to talk about what I really got admired from Sadhguru as a guru and also Isha as an institution. What I really got inspired, what I enjoy the most about that organization. I've been part of that through some programs. I've been observing and getting inspired by Isha over 10 years. This has always been my interest to share with the business family folks about the way Isha as an institution is being built. So I thought it will be a very, very inspiring and interesting story, the way this 40 years of existence of this organization, built brick by brick. It's a very, very mammoth in size, spread across multiple geographies, not only in India, across the world. It's fascinating to see how a spiritual guru has built such a powerful institution, which actually created for the inner well-being of human beings. Now, it is not only an inner well-being of human being that can be achieved through Isha. Based on the way I observed Isha as an institution, there are lots of lessons or learnings we can have from the way this organization is being built. If you really look at a business, what are the ingredients of a successful business or a successful, I won't call it as business, I will call it as an institution building, right? Okay, you are a family business owner, you want to create your business into an institution. So I'm trying to draw some parallels of how Isha as an institution can be an inspiration for your institution building. Yes, I understand Isha is a not-for-profit organization. The primary objective is not for profit, though they have for-profit institutions, but the whole objective of this for-profit also feed into the not-for-profit objectives. I agree. So it can't be called as business in that sense. But as I always say, you can always learn from everybody. We can always learn from anything. We learn from movies. We learn from real life personalities. And of course, Sadhguru is also one real life personality who has built this organization over the last 40 years in front of our own eyes. And there is enough and more we can learn from the way Isha as an organization, Isha as an institution is being created. So this is my personal fascination for that institution, which made me, or which is making me restless for the last few years to share the positive aspects, the wonderful attributes of an institution building to be shared with you family business folks. Lights, camera, family business, igniting minds with movies. So I'm going to talk about 10 powerful ingredients which are required for an institution building, whether it is a for-profit institution building or a not-for-profit organization. Okay. So I observed these are the 10 powerful ingredients which the founder or the promoters of family businesses should focus on if they want to create an institution. We are going to discuss about each of these aspects briefly, but I just want to list out those top 10 ingredients which I see is essential for building an institution. The first and foremost is having a larger purpose, a clear vision, and bring about an alignment to that vision with the stakeholders, right? That is the first element. The second thing is the business model. So every business, whether it is for profit or not for profit, that needs to have a model, right, which has multiple revenue streams, some revenue streams for cash flows, some revenue streams for profit, just like the way in family business also we have the similar thing where the revenues, some are for cash flows, some are for profits. So therefore, business model has to be pretty intact. The third aspect is the kind of products and services which you are intending to deliver to your potential customer. How clear you are, what kind of products you're going to sell to what kind of customers. In a spiritual context, I won't say sell, but people pick up those services on their own. But for the ease of convenience, since I'm relating this with family businesses, I wanted to use certain terminologies which is easy for people to understand. So the third element is the kind of suite of services or the products. The fourth element is the person who is going to consume these products or services, who is the customer. So how do you deal with the customer, and who is your customer, and how do you reach them, and things like that. And the fifth part is what kind of branding and marketing and rebranding from time to time is required for a business, right? The sixth aspect is all this is not complete without having a proper execution excellence, right? We are going to talk about that. The seventh aspect is execution is not complete without motivated, spirited people there, right? So we are going to talk about how people management is critical for institution building. The eighth aspect is all this can be there, but you need infrastructure. Without an infrastructure, institution can't be built. So that is the eighth aspect of it. And the ninth aspect is with all this, institutions can't be built very comfortably. So there needs to be a way in which the founder or the leader or the vision pushes the boundaries. So how in Isha, how they push the boundaries, it's mind blowing, right? And the last but not the least is even if you're a founder who's building an institution relentlessly, you need to have a life for yourself. So which is the 10th essential ingredient for institution building, because the promoter needs to be, or the founder needs to be exuberant. He should have high energy, right? Therefore, it is important that he has a life for himself, right? We'll discuss briefly about each of this, but these are the top 10 aspects which I observed in Isha as an institution, which are essential ingredients for any institution building. The number one, larger purpose, larger vision. Often I see in family businesses, the vision or a larger purpose is unclear, or maybe it is only clear to the founders. In some cases, as I always mentioned in my previous episode, the vision is not explicitly displayed, right, for other people to be part of the vision. The third aspect which I felt is missing in few family businesses is that is there an alignment to the vision with respect to the stakeholders? So the bottom line is the vision has to be crisp and clear for the stakeholders to easily align with it. Let me read out the Isha Foundation's vision statement. See how somebody is able to write such a clear, beautiful vision, which even today you are able to connect that they live up to it. Here we go. To raise every human being to the peak of their potential so that they are exuberant, all inclusive, and in harmony with themselves and with the world. How beautiful it is, right? It is basically helping every human being to reach their peak of their potential, which they cannot do without being exuberant. It needs to be all inclusive, and end of the day, you should have a peace or a harmony with yourself and to the world. So this is such a powerfully, nicely crafted vision. So which I really admired the way Sadhguru has articulated. Not only articulated, they seem to be living up to this for the last 40 years. I've been a witness to this for the last 10 years. The second is business model. I can talk about each of these ingredients for hours together, but in the interest of time, let me be very crisp about all this, right? With respect to business model, they have three kinds of models. So first is the not-for-profit activities. The second is for-profit activities. Then the third is media and speaking engagements. Even the for-profit businesses or the engagements is also primarily is more for resource mobilization to conduct the not-for-profit activities. That's how it looks like. So the resource coming out of these three activities is the basis on which this institution is being built financially, right? when they're able to create such large infrastructures and so many programs, they're able to spread geographies. This is basically on the foundations of the multiple revenues or the multiple income streams that comes out of these tripod enterprise model. Similarly, in family businesses, you will have, it is primarily for profit. But once you become sizable, you also create not for profit organizations or foundations and trust. And at the same time, it is important that the promoters have also create social connect by participating into various programs where they're able to build a connect to the organization through their own speaking engagements, which is also critical for any institution building. You cannot build a business model without having the right product or services. And these products or services should be able to suit all sections of the population. For example, if you take Isha, the target market for them is the entire universe. Wherever there are human beings are there, and they are the target markets. So therefore, they need to have the products or services that needs to suit the entire gamut of the sex of the society. So that way, if you really look at this, and every business also, if you really look at it, they will have a door opener product. This is a product by which the customer or the devotee or the follower steps into you. In many cases, I have seen inner engineering has that door opener product in Isha. Similarly, in businesses, you also have a product which becomes the door opener. Once the customer walks in through your door opener product, how do we ensure that this customer is retained? They have products for all sects of the society. You can do meditation, you can do yoga, you can do leadership programs, you can do HR programs. They also have a leadership academy. They cover salaried class, they cover business class, they cover NGOs, they cover every set of individuals. So these products and services are structured in a way that it addresses the entire target market, which is another admirable thing and which is very critical for an institution building. If you are building an institution, you need to know who is your target market, and you need to have a product or a service that fits into every target market in the respective area. Fourth, all these vision and business model and product and services are incomplete without a customer, without a devotee, without a follower, right? So in Isha's case, it is a devotee or a disciple or a follower. For simplicity's sake, as I told you, I'm calling them as customers. First and foremost with the customer is that how do you build a connect? Isha creates a very, very deep rooted emotional connect. Yes, it is a program for human beings. It is a program for individuals. It is there for your own inner well-being. So obviously you will build an emotional connect. So I feel it is also important for business, a family business, to build that kind of an emotional connect with a customer. We have discussed about Tata in our videos. What is Tata? Tata has built an emotional connect with a customer. Every customer is basically, Tata means trust, right? That's the way businesses have to connect with customers. So one is on the emotional connect. The second thing is customer experience. The customer experience, they call it as customer ecstasy. Okay, Sadhguru always uses that the kind of experience you get, it has to lead to your ecstasy. Even in Amazon episode, we saw that we are all talking about customer satisfaction, customer delight, and the world has moved over to obsession and customer ecstasy. The offerings what they have is to ensure that eventually the customer ecstasy to be achieved. The another element is, now you have got the customer. Customer has walked into your doors. How do you retain this customer? How do we ensure that he experiences your multiple products or services, right? In businesses, we call it as cross-selling or upselling, right? So in a spiritual institutions, we don't call it as upselling or cross-selling. People end up experiencing all your services because they feel it is very relevant for them. So they may come through an inner engineering program, then they will explore yogas. I mean, there are lots of various yoga programs they have. Then they will attend leadership courses. Then they'll attend HR courses. And they'll be attending various other programs. So therefore, once the customer walks in, how he is navigated through the entire services, the gamut of services what they have, and eventually he is retained in the system, right? And not only retains in the system, he is the brand ambassador. He becomes the word of mouth, right? Because these kind of spiritual services are not a push sale business. It has to be creating a pull factor. The pull factor only will come from the user experience. If I go there, I see a magic in my life, I see a miracle in my life, I see a change in my life. Obviously, I talk to 10 other, 20 other, 30 other people and say that this is how it has transformed me. I am a standing example. In the last aspect in the customer area is, I call it as ROE. ROE is return on equity in a normal business parlance. Here, I call it as return on experience, return on engagement, right? The return on engagement is not a one-way street. In an institution building, the customer or the user has to get immense value for whatever they pay for, and the institution also should get immense value from that customer, right? It works both ways, right? So therefore, I see the ROE, which is the return on experience or the return on engagement of Isha, as well as the disciple or the customers of Isha, is multifold, right? So this many aspects are there in the customer side of the business. So it is important that we focus on all of it relentlessly when you are wanting to build an institution like Isha. The fifth element is branding, marketing, positioning, and storytelling, which is very, very critical for a business, which is very, very critical for an institution building. And this needs to be done consciously, this needs to be done continuously, and Isha as an institution does it so beautifully well, right? In fact, if you are an entrepreneur, it is important that you need to know the storytelling part to your own stakeholders. Storytelling is something which you are able to articulate your own story to the respective audience in a way they understand. That is what is called as storytelling. Because normally in storytelling, people will think kada udradhu. I'm not talking about kada udradhu. Okay. Storytelling in a business parlance means that you will tell your story to the various stakeholders or the various audience in a way they understand or they need to understand. So that way, if you really look at it, Sadhguru is amazing at it. The way he will push a topic in the minds of the audience and the kind of examples he will give and the kind of branding they do, rebranding they do. In fact, recently I saw one of his videos where he has realized that the spiritual services should not be done from an institution background. Okay, for example, Isha Foundation selling meditation programs or offering spiritual programs, he felt that that needs to be changed. So he has rebranded the whole thing right now, saying that in 7 steps, you transform yourself with Sadhguru, something like that, right? And all other programs like Leadership Academy or HR programs or all other programs will happen from institution. He wanted to create a better clarity and he wanted to launch the new version of the same program because inner engineering as a program which has been running for ages. So he decided that it needs to be grouped differently for better clarity to the audience. So therefore he said that anything which is individual based, which you come for Sadhguru, he should be based on this aspect, and all other businesses and other verticals which an institution can deliver. So they have done it. So for that, he will make people understand the 7 steps. So basically, you as a devotee or a customer should remember the 7 steps to transform yourself, right? So he will give a beautiful story of that 7, like 7 rivers, Sapta Rishis, and so many ways in which he will describe that 7. In fact, he recently substantiated the inner engineering program where the research was done by Harvard University, which increases your potential by 70%. This is an important aspect for the many of the Gen Zs, if you really want them to be part of it, because they're all very logical minds. So if you tell them that inner engineering meditation, that may not excite them. But if you're able to substantiate with a logical research by a large university, it brings a lot more authenticity. Not only authenticity, it also hits their mind in a way they see things, right? This is a very important aspect of branding, positioning, storytelling, which should be in tune with times, which has to cater to every sector of the audience in a manner they want to receive, which is the beauty of this, exercise. Similarly, if you are a businessman, business family, or a business institution you are building, it is important that you understand your target market and you roll out the story in a way that segment or that set of customer or that set of an audience understand, right? Many of the family businesses I see, the founders are not great storytellers. It is important to develop that skill. Execution excellence of Isha Foundation. It's mind blowing. Whether it is 100 people attending program or 100,000 people attending program, whether it is Shivaratri or whether it is a small conference, the way they execute is flawless. You would have recently seen that A.R. Rahman concert and the Trevor Noah program in Bangalore, where it was a complete chaos, right? People spent precious time coming and standing there, not able to enter. Okay, there is stampede. There is in Trevor Noah's program, people got stuck in traffic and speakers were not working. It got cancelled eventually. But if you see Isha Foundation's programs, you will not see any of this, right? You won't even know how they're able to pull off such an event. Some 100,000 people or more than 100,000 people come for Shivaratri to a small village. How they create that infrastructure, or how do they manage people, how do they provide food, and how do we make them comfortable, and how they are so attentive with that program is mind blowing, right? And I've been attending their programs last 10 years. There is nowhere I can see any flaws. And I admire a lot about their execution skills. One of the reasons why they're able to exist in this last 40 years with so much of respect, is able to build so much of scale, not only in one location, multiple geographies, is primarily because the execution. The way, I don't know how, in fact, many times I've gone to their place and asked, saying, what is the hierarchy, what is the structure, who is thinker, who is the doer, and what is the system, how much of use of technology happens here. Oh my God, I've been with businesses for so long, for so many business families and so many businesses. This kind of volumes of things and this kind of execution methodology, I have not seen anywhere else, right? I thought this is a very interesting aspect of Isha, which is very much to be observed by family businesses, saying that no matter what your idea is, no matter what resource you have, but the execution plan, you should take a long time to plan so that you take less time to execute. I'm sure that Isha takes a little long time to plan because they structure the program well ahead of time so that they have enough time to plan, looks like. Therefore, execution is very critical for institution building. The seventh most important element of this institution is people, right? The execution is of no use if it is not supported by spirited, motivated, energetic, happy people. And you can see all of it there, right? I hope you know that Isha is a volunteer driven organization. They don't have some super duper paid executives. There is no ESOPs. There is no wealth creation plan. There is no retention strategy for you to give lots of money. There is nothing of that sort. In spite of all that, the fantastic aspect of Isha is its volunteers. They are the backbone, I would say. My God, they are all people who are voluntary in providing that service, and how enthusiastic, how cheerful they are, and how committed they are. And that is the reason this execution is happening so flawlessly. But it is another admiration for me because I see many of the businesses which I work with, they have a structure, they have highly paid executives, they retain them through various ways, but still they are not able to make the founder's dream into a reality. But that way, Sadhguru is gifted to have such wonderful volunteers who are actually building this institution. It amazes me all the time. In fact, I used to always curiously ask every volunteer, saying, how the instructions comes to you? And how do you guys work like this? What is your role clarity? And how the training is given to you? And how you are able to perform so beautifully? And how you are so cheerful about everything? You don't get worked up on anything. It's so fantastic to see there. It is equally important in businesses that it is important that you have the motivated, spirited, energetic people with you. How he is able to achieve, in my view, I think there is a connect with the larger vision of the founder has. That is what I call it as an alignment to the vision. Everybody is connected to the vision in a way that they are actually contributing to a larger cause. They are contributing to the larger purpose. They are also making a difference to the cause Sadhguru has. They are supportive to that, and it creates a lot of impact to the humanity and the society. It is equally important in the business is that the promoter or the founder has to sell that larger vision, larger purpose to his team, where they feel they are very connected to the larger purpose the family or the business has, so that they not only as an employee to deliver their job, they are actually playing a larger role in creating that impact. I think that is what makes people more spirited. So this needs a lot of orientation to the people and sharing that vision, percolating that vision, getting alignment to that vision is very critical for an institution building. I have seen that happening in Asia for the last 10 years. And the eighth aspect is the infrastructure and the technology. You cannot handle such large volumes of people and so many number of programs without having a proper infrastructure. You can't have such scale of program without having a proper infrastructure. Their infrastructure is so wonderful, okay? And the way they use technology to reach the global audience is amazing. The kind of social media, platform they have, and the kind of messages that go, and I think they use extensive use of technology, and their infrastructure is so fantastic. And how somebody is able to design this, and how he conceived this idea, and how many people think of this idea is, again, I don't know how to comprehend this. But you see their infrastructure, it look very simple, but very, very useful, very, very functional, and aesthetically nice, and you will be at peace. These are the things you need in an infrastructure, right? It has to be functional, useful, and end of the day, by using that infrastructure, you as a customer should find peace, because the objective of that place is to get, give peace. So it completely solves the purpose. The ninth important point in institution building is pushing boundaries. Okay, because you as a single founder start a business, start an institution, right? And you are trying to take up projects which you can't even imagine. In fact, I used to wonder how Sadhguru first conceived this project that he can execute it, right? Because he doesn't have full-time paid people who will listen to whatever he says. Used to be my thinking. But look at Save the Soil, Kaveri Calling, Rally for River, Rural Reach programs. These are all mammoth programs which you are reaching the nook and corners of the country and at times in the world. And when he conceived this kind of a project, I used to wonder, won't even think how I'm going to execute this. It's a curious question I also think, because it needs so many people to be part of it and so much of resource to spend, and eventually the kind of impact you intend creating has to happen on the ground. So this I call it as pushing boundaries. In business, in family business, if you are wanting to build an institution, this pushing the boundary should happen. If you think as a promoter that you have a lot of constraints, how I am going to pull it off, I think it's not going to help, right? So it is important that you need to push the boundary at every level, right? Right from your thinking, okay, to the execution is very critical for creating a large institution. And that is how multiple large organizations have been created, right? People like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, suppose if they thought at how I'm going to do a spacecraft, how he's going to start a Blue Origin, and how we'll create a space infrastructure and all that, they would have not even started. They felt that this is an idea, I want to go after it no matter what. Where the resource will come from, where the trained people will come from, and how we are going to execute it, how long will it take, all that we'll see on the way to the journey, right? So pushing the boundary is another critical aspect. It starts from the founder. The founder has to first push himself, then only he can push the rest of the people. So that is what I mean by pushing the boundary, which is a very, very key element for institution building, which is, in other words, is the founder should move away from his comfort zone and push the entire system towards the larger objective. And the last point is have life for yourself end of the day. If you are a founder, if you're creating a mammoth organization, creating an impact in the society, right? You're working 24 by 7, no problem. But end of the day, you need to have life for yourself. Because I see many of the business families, businessmen, family business owners, they are so spending time so much on the business and obsessed about the business, they don't have time for themselves. Don't have time for their own interest. They don't have time for their own passion. I see that. But if you see Sadhguru, again, you take him as an example. He will ride a motorcycle, he will go into forest, he will play golf, and he will climb Himalayas and whatnot. I think he enjoys doing all of it. It is not that gone are the days where you see spiritual gurus who are very serious in their faces, they won't even smile, they speak less, and all that. Today you can easily connect with him. The way because he says you should have exuberance in life, right? You should have energy in life, right? For that, he should be the person showing you the way, which means the way he lives. He will go by a private jet, he will travel here, he'll attend economic forums, he'll dress up differently, and he has a, life king size, right? Again, in a way, he lives the brand because he is a person who wants to lead by example, right? Same way, I feel all these family business owners, yes, there is a great vision, there is a beautiful business you are creating, okay, there is a family which you are taking care of, there are so much of direct and indirect jobs you are creating, no doubt about that. Above all, you need to have life for yourself. That is what I wanted to say as the 10th last point in the pursuit of institution building. Institution building, in fact, in Amazon, Jeff Bezos' video, I said he works between 10 to 5 and he's able to create a business which is $1.7 trillion, right? It is possible to do things like that. It is important that you need to have time for yourself. So, as we always end our show with a powerful Thirukkural, here in this Thirukkural, Thiruvalluvar talks about the importance of Guru. Okay, here we go. Tammir Periyar Tamara Olugudal Vanmayul Ellam Talai. Fantastic it is. Just listen to the meaning of this. In Tamil, I'll tell you first, then I'll translate this into English. அறிவினாலும் அனுபவத்தினாலும் நம்மை விட உயர்ந்தோரை துணையாக கொண்டு அவரிடம் சொற்படி நடப்பது உலகத்தில் நாம் பெறும் எல்லா வலிமையை காட்டிலும் மிக சிறந்த வலிமையாகும். To walk in the company of those superior to us in knowledge and in experience is the greatest strength we have in the world, right? It is important that you need to observe people who are better than us, bigger than us, smarter than us, superior than us, so that you draw inspiration from that and you also learn a lot from the way it is being built. So therefore, having the company of people who are better than us, superior than us is the greatest strength. No matter what you read, what you study in the books, but this is the greatest strength, which is what, here in Sadhguru's case or in Isha Foundation's institution, we can learn that as a guru, he has shown the way, not only as an individual how he leads all of us, he is also building an institution where we can look up to. So thank you so much for watching. As I always, I hope you would have enjoyed this very unique episode. I don't think anybody would have done a similar story from spiritual gurus. This has been my dream to share this with you for so long. Whatever I've admired as a businessman, and I thought this should benefit the other businessmen as well. So, as I told you again, all are my personal views, my personal admirations, my personal inspirations. So, it is important that you take the essence of whatever the right things which I've said, which are positive. There is no need for any other interpretation of anything of any sort. It is a real, true admiration of an institution and a person which we can learn from. Thank you so much. And the next episode, we are going to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Walt Disney in a way. Yes, it is the lessons which we are going to learn from Walt Disney, which is a very, very interesting company as well as an interesting personality as a founder. So we are going to learn a lot from them. Please stay tuned. You will have wonderful lessons coming your way. Thank you.